Whenever I meet new people and tell them about my story of how I went from Australia to the US, they're often surprised about how I got my master's degree for free here in the US. And I actually got it free through a position called a research assistant position. And I've made a video about this, and I can probably link it here at the end of the video. And since I was hired as this research assistant, I got my tuition covered, and I also got my living expenses covered. So on paper, it looks like a no-brainer. But when it comes to doing or working as a research assistant and getting all these things for free, there are trade-offs that no one really talks about. So in this video, I do want to talk about those 3 things that you should consider before jumping at the opportunity for doing your PhD or your master's degree for free, working as a research assistant position. How's it going? My name is Kieran, and I came to the US as an international student athlete, and now I work as a robotics engineer at a Fortune 500 company. And I still remember getting the acceptance letter to study my master's program, and then I also remember finding out that I was accepted to work as a research assistant position. And like I said earlier, this covered my living expenses and tuition. This was a no-brainer for me. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do my master's and I'm not gonna pay. But I didn't really think about these 3 things. And the first thing I want to talk about is time commitment. And this is by far the biggest thing. So your coursework during your master's or your PhD is lighter than your undergrad, but that time is usually spent on doing research, writing papers, and then other self-directed work. So you actually spend a lot more time in academia. I know some people work during their undergrad, whether it's a part-time job or a casual job, but the real difference between working as a research assistant position or doing research in grad school compared to those jobs is that it's not as structured. When you work part-time, you're clocking in, clocking out, you have a set amount of hours, but in grad school, you just don't have that. And it's really easy for the research to follow you wherever you go, whether it's home or trying to socialize. One of the things that I did, because I find myself sometimes getting home at midnight, and granted, sometimes it happens, like sometimes you just have a lot of work to do, but one of the things that I put in place to minimize how often I did this is I made sure I was never in the lab if no one else was there. What I found that I was doing is I would go to the lab by myself, and it was so easy to spend so much time there just doing experiments. And sometimes it was aimless. So instead of going to the lab, if no one was there, I would go to the library and actually plan out how I was going to effectively utilize lab time the next time someone was there. And that provided me some structure, and I was also in the library among other people, because in the labs, it can get lonely. You're often there for a couple hours, no social interaction. This was also during COVID. And so even if you were at the library, it was very antisocial. So just trying to be as social as you can helped me. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is mental health. Now, I am by no means a mental health professional. I'm an engineer, but grad school is stressful. You've done undergrad. Undergrad is also stressful. But I will say for undergrad, and I'm not undermining undergrad, I'm just saying often the classes are bigger and you can share your stress with multiple peers. You have the same exams, you have the same finals, you have the same deadlines. But when you're doing your master's, the classes are a lot smaller, and you often have people of different ages as well. And so they may have commitments outside of academia. You're often more isolated in your master's, and when things get difficult, they get difficult. I mean, I remember I was studying and I was doing some research, and I was kind of in this dip where nothing was happening, and I had just seen my friend get promoted at a Fortune 500 company. Meanwhile, I was sitting here, even though I was doing my master's for free, I wasn't making any money. My research wasn't going anywhere. And meanwhile, my friend is probably making 6 figures at a Fortune 500. These things really get to your head, and it's really important that you have other ways to deal with this sort of stress. And it's not even just stress, it's a lot of that pressure as well, because not everyone has a good relationship with their advisors or peers. And so it can come down to having a poor relationship with your advisor. Can you do that for another year or several years if you're doing a PhD? And if you can't do it, how will people perceive you if you drop out? And all these questions, I mean, they can take a toll on you. So it's very important to have some sort of social circle. Now, for me, it was very easy because I was actually graduating with people who were going to do their masters, like the same program. So I already knew people, and I also already knew people that had graduated from there. So I was very familiar with that. But if you don't have that advantage like I did, I urge you to find some people who have common hobbies with you, or even try and find a club or something. And it's easier said than done, I get it. You're gonna get rejected. And I would just say, go out there, get rejected, and you will find some group of friends. The final thing I want to talk about, and I didn't even really consider this till I entered the workforce, was missed opportunities. While you're studying in grad school, not making any money, but you're making some progress on your research, your friends are out there gaining real world experience, probably getting promoted, making a real salary, and maybe even figuring out like, hey, I don't even like this job. They have years on top of you. So you need to figure out, is the trade-off, the trade-off is you studying, worth missing out on those promotions? And that's only something that you can answer. And it's a very different answer for a lot of different people. In my case, I wanted to pivot into something completely different. I was a mechanical engineering undergrad. And even though I did my master's in mechanical engineering, my research position was in robotics. And that was the field I was interested in. So even though I graduated and got my robotics position, a lot of the other people who entered the workforce at the same time had only actually done their undergrad, whereas I had done my master's and we had the same job. But to me, that didn't bother me, because if I had just graduated my undergrad and went straight into the workforce, I would not have had this position. Actually, I probably wouldn't even have a job because I didn't even do an internship. So for me, it was a no-brainer. For other people, it may be international students who want a career in the US, and often a master's is kind of a stepping stone to get them into the country and accelerate their education. It's not necessarily bad to do your master's, but it is a trade-off and it's something you need to consider. Those are the three things I want to talk about in this video. One is that it is going to be a significant time commitment, so you need to implement systems so that you don't fall into that trap. Number two, you're going to be under a lot of stress and pressure. So you need to find a social group to unwind and just get your head away from research and academics. Number three, you need to consider the missed opportunities. Is you studying your master's or PhD worth the missed career opportunities, whether it's missing salary, missing those promotions? How bad do you want it? And if you can confidently answer those three questions, then go ahead and go get your master's or PhD. Or don't, however you answered them. That's all I had for the video. Hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.